Today on Bike Culture Talk, we've been interviewing bike culture superstars from all over the world. And today we're really excited to be talking with Claude Marthaler. He is a self-described cyclonaut, someone who's really made a life of bicycle travel. And years ago, we showed a film from Claude called Bike for Bread. We thought it would be really interesting to talk with him as someone who is used to traveling the globe, not traveling right now, obviously, and talking about how this great film came to be and some of his bicycle adventures. So, Claude, thanks so much for joining me today. It's great to have you here. So, how has life been for you these days? You're not on the road right now, I would imagine. So, what are you up to while you're based in Switzerland? So, what are you up to while you're in Switzerland?
Geneva, well, I do write the next books at the moment. So, and I also work from time to time for the Swiss press as a journalist. I make portraits from climbers or cyclists, travelers. And I do ride also often in the mountains around in Jura or another mountain is in France, and we are not no more allowed to go. Like all the borders are closed for the moment.
Okay. So yeah, you're a very prolific writer. You just published your 10th book, which is
Yes.
very impressive. For our French-speaking audience, you are very fortunate because these books are in French. They have not yet been translated into English, but that is something that Claude would love to see happen if anyone has
Yes.
resources for that. But tell us a little bit about what are your books about? What is your focus for all these books that you write?
I do mainly write bike travelogues, and I write stories on the road. Also, I speak a lot about geopolitics around and about how people live or survive, what they dream, what they like. Also, the difference of culture. I'm from Europe, so when I arrive, I don't know the language. Most of them I don't know, so I can just talk a few words. But it's is amazing is the generosity of people. Like most of people live very simply. They work very hard also to make the living of their kids better. They hope so, and they will offer you anything. They will offer you the room, their bed. They will warm up water, cook for you. And they are very disciplined if you have to leave the next day. So it's always, it's the biggest gift, and it's nice to see the world from a bicycle, from a saddle, because with all the bad news we get from the medias, they do their job, and it's good like that. But also it makes also good to the humor, to the earth, to see that people are really essentially good and they want to help you, they support you along the road. And so I try to write a bit all of these impressions and also the joy of riding, to be in a huge space, like especially in mountains, in Himalayas. I think for me it was a high point of all my trips, high up.
Well, Claude, you've taken so many impressive journeys. I know you've been all around Europe, Morocco, Turkey. At one point, you left Geneva to go to Tokyo, and it took 7 years. Is that right?
Yeah,
That's quite a journey.
that has been my longest journey. I started from here in Geneva, and I thought to arrive in Japan 2 years after, and I arrived 3 years after. So I worked there a few months, and I went on. I cycled from Alaska to Tierra del Fuego in your continent, and then I flew to Cape Town, and I rode up all Africa for 2 years more. So that has been over 7 years. And I did also two journey. Each of them was 3 years long. Now I do journey shorter. Yeah, maybe I go 3 4 months a year, more or less. My mother just got yesterday 91, so
Wow.
I take care of her too. And so that's also elements which are changing in life from a human that we must consider as well. But I have still the same joy and enthusiasm to travel and to share my passion with people.
Yeah. Well, in addition to being an author and someone who travels as much as you do by bike. You're also a filmmaker, and that's how we first met, is when you submitted your film Bread for Bike, about bread delivery by bicycle on the streets of Cairo. And I thought I would just play a short clip of this for our audience to watch so they can get a sense.
With pleasure.
When
Yes.
we first saw this film, we were so amazed by just
Thank you.
the skill and talent of these riders. And the complexity of the streets. It's just so crowded. And how are they doing this? It was so impressive to see it, and to see that it was such a system. They had their routine down. They had their pride in knowing that they had a callus on their head from carrying the bread. Just a really neat glimpse into this part of daily life in Cairo. So,
Can I just say one word before?
Yes.
I must say we were two people. I was with a friend, Raphael Joshua. So we are co-filmmaker. We have done it all together. So I must say he's half of the movie as well.
Excellent. Well, we'll play just a brief clip of this, and then we'll come back and chat more with Claude.
Thank you.
This is Bike for Bread.
Hamada est un véritable pro. Avec ses 600 galettes posées sur son avion, comme on dit dans le métier, il transporte plus de 45 kg de charge sur sa tête. Ce poids excessif a fini par marquer le sommet de son crâne par un durillon, une marque de fabrique des livreurs de pain expérimentés qu'il m'exhibe avec fierté. Hamada se révèle virtuose dans ce trafic ahurissant. J'ai de la peine à le suivre. Vif, insaisissable, il zigzague sans répit et flotte au-dessus de la mêlée. Sa bravoure et sa prouesse sont quotidiennes, sa tâche pharaonique. Livré à lui-même, le pilote Hamada en appelle sans cesse à Dieu pour le protéger.
والله هو أنا طول ما أنا ماشي في الشارع وشايل الشيلة وراكب العجلة بقول يا رب سبحانه وتعالى إن شاء الله بإذن الله.
So just a little glimpse of Bike for Bread there. Claude, tell us a little bit about how that story came to be, how you got involved in that project.
Yeah, the idea at the very beginning was to make a serial about the work with a bicycle, to speak about people who are behind using a bike in all their life, like especially in the poor countries. And we tried. We had not much experience in filming. Raphael has much more, and we tried to go there. We were about 3 weeks, 1 month in Cairo to find a bakery. We found also Ruud van der Waal, who was the interpreter from Arabic to English. So she helped us a lot to locate a bakery, to befriend them before we were coming. And then we had to rent Indian bikes like no gears and like to try to follow. It was very tough because he was just going between the cars and buses, and we were often blocked behind. So, and he had to carry much bread. Actually, it's very ergonomic. He goes through the cars, and the bread is flying over. We call it the airplane. They call it the airplane, the plank where they put the bread. And we befriended very much with Hamada, the protagonist of the movie. And we had a very, very close contact with all the bakers inside. And after a while, we could, Raphael could film any part he wanted. It was a very close, it was nice also. Raphael was filming a lot of climbing expeditions, so he showed that. And they never seen someone climbing on ice. So, and I told them I was riding bikes all over. So it was also something they didn't know. I showed them a picture of a book. Uh-huh. And so it was a very nice exchange and a nice different way than when you are traveling, because when you are with a bike, you're moving all the time. And this time we spend in a very special place for a long time. And the bakery is something very... it's all white, and it's all people are like flying. The work is very much like that, and it's a very soft atmosphere, very human. It was a great experience. Unfortunately, after this movie, we intended to make 5 or 6 more of different projects in Africa and in India. We were not able. We tried for 1-2 years to find a producer in Switzerland, in France. We had some contacts, but it never ended to get the funding to make it. So Raphael, he went to his other job, which is climbing teacher, and I went on my things, still with the bikes, but no more with the film. So, but all in all, it was a very human and beautiful experience.
Yeah, it sounds like it definitely was. And have the people involved in the film, have they had a chance to see the film?
Yes, actually, we wanted to go back there, but we never went. But Ruth, the interpreter, she went with her computer, and they could watch it in the bakery. And they have all the baker have a DVD of the movie, so they have it. And that's also, these people are poor, like most of the Egyptian people are very poor. They all make a very hard job with their body, most of them. So there, it's not considered something special, but to have a movie was something which gave them a kind of dignity, recognition, and also a nice friendship from finally a foreigner, someone who was speaking about them in a way.
That's great. And you've really made a life of bicycle travel and throwing yourself into these situations where you see these opportunities to connect with the people around you. What is it that draws you to spending so much of your life on your bicycle traveling the world?
It's I need much more time to say. I can speak all the night, but no, it's a childhood dream at the very beginning. Then when I was a teenager, I invited people who were in my city with panniers, and I was living at that time with my mother and my brother. And my mother was a bit not shocked, but astonished. And finally, they were my youth hero. I saw them, and I did a few modest trip for summertime during my holiday when I was at school and when I was working later on. And every time I was meeting people who were going to Japan, to Australia, and I was just dreaming, reading many books of adventures. And I was very inspired by the writing, by the images, by meeting people who are doing actually huge journey. And I was seeing that the key of it was to have time, a lot of time. And that time, they had a bit of more of experience, money, but above all, they have much more time. And so I tried to make time to save some money, work, and then to go on. And I was lucky enough to find some newspaper I could write. I had no journalist card at this time. I was just very beginner. At one time, you have just to jump into the cold water, and then you start. Then you learn to ride or to swim or anything. It's often like that. It's the first path or turn of pedal, which is seems the most difficult, but it's not.
So I know you've got great, you know all about the hospitality of the world when you're traveling by bike. And I'm really excited to learn that you are now translating that into running your own house where it'll be a place for people to stop along their bicycle journeys. Tell us a little bit about what you've got planned for your home in the south of France.
Yeah, it has been a long dream that I had during my journey to create a cultural center for cyclists. And I was lucky enough to meet my now partner, and she's also she's a bike guide, bike traveling guide. So we have the same passion, and we bought a house in Luberon in Provence, in southern France. It's an old house, more than 300 years old. We have a lot of like 7 rooms, a big garden with water, and we'd like to create a gîte and also a campground for the cyclists all the year round, like no price, whatever people want to pay. So even if we're not there, they can camp as well. I will put all my books about cycling there, and we try really to. We are open to anybody, not only cyclists, but we love cyclists and people who walk also, and also climbers. A lot of climbing spots around. It's a beautiful region, so welcome anybody around, and it's very beautiful to ride. We are close to Mont Ventoux, which is very famous for the Tour de France. A nice mountain. So welcome. It will be a project that we can develop in the next year. We hope to open next year.
That sounds amazing. And I can't imagine a better host for a bicycle traveler than you, since you have so much experience being
Thank
that
you.
traveler yourself. I think it's a wonderful idea. And I would imagine the project will be very rewarding for you as well, to get to share stories and hear people's stories as they're in the midst of a journey like that. What a special time to be on a bike traveling. The whole world is so different when you're on a bike and traveling. Time is different, and perception is different, and interactions with people are certainly different. I think that's a really special aspect of bicycle travel.
Yeah.
So, Claude, how are you getting through this time of isolation? What are things like for you in Geneva?
For me personally, it's not bad because like my work is writing, so it's all the year around. When I'm writing, I have to be alone and quite silent as well. So in that sense, it's not bad. But it's got a lot of links, especially with my mother. She has been 91 yesterday, so she's in a home for elder people. So for 1 month more, they have totally cut. We are not allowed to visit them, so it will be 3 months all in all. So that's long for people. My partner is closed as well. Our project is also like in standby at the moment because the French border is closed. Some friends agree to go riding with me. Some other are a bit afraid. So it reveals everyone's personality. Some people are very, very afraid. Other people are easygoing. It depends. So I do respect any kind of reaction. It's human, and we are above all diversity. So, but it changed definitively the way of thinking, because nobody is able anymore to make projects for the future because everything is changing daily, or almost at least in Europe, in the States as well, I guess. So we must be careful that now that there's not a second time in summer that the virus comes strong again. So, but through history, there have been many virus in the poor country. Actually, people are we don't say they know what dying is, because every day they have many diseases. They have bad food or bad nutrition, so they are familiar with the death. And that reveals also we are afraid about the death in Western country, and we have to learn that everybody is going to die one day. So it gives us also good aspects, I think. And if we take them as a reflection time, if we have the opportunity to do that, because we have also very, I would say, poor families, people who are living in small spaces, working hard. And for them, I think it will be a shock, and after a kind of difficult time after this crisis. For people who are more have some education or like that, they can go through that crisis and be stronger after, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is a challenging time, but eventually the world will open back up, and I look forward to hearing about your future adventures in places you travel.
Thank you.
I'm very excited about your home in France, and I look forward to following the journey there as you get that up and running to welcome guests. I appreciate you taking the time to join us today, Claude. It was great to hear from you after all these years. We really enjoyed showing your film at Filmed by Bike years ago. It's just a really special piece capturing a really neat aspect of Cairo culture. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank
and
you.
I wish you all the best during this time of quarantine.
Long life to your festival.
Thank you.
Folks,
bye-bye. This is Bike Culture Talk. We've been talking with Claude Marthaler from Switzerland. He is the filmmaker behind the film, co-filmmaker behind the film Bike for Bread, which we showed here at Film by Bike years ago. We've got great movies that we're showing every Saturday on our bike movie nights. See our website, filmbybike.org, for more information about that. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel below, because every week we're interviewing interesting bike culture superstars from all over the world. And if you subscribe to our channel, we'll be able to let you know when we've we've got new interviews coming up. Also on Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific time, we're hosting Bike Culture Happy Hour, a chance for you to hang out and hear from folks around the world about what they're going through right now, a chance for you to relax, tune in on the chat, and feel a part of something special every week. That's our nice little respite from the craziness of the world. We hope you all have a great day. Thanks so much for tuning in today, and we will see you next time here on Film by Bike.